Just so selfish, doing as I please and feel. No honesty, integrity, just living as a fool. Until that day, my eyes got fixed on you. Something inside me. I'm committed through and through, and I did it all just for you, just for you. I did it all, I did it all for you. I did it all just for you. Surrendering all to you, to hear your voice, to see your eyes, makes it all very clear. No mystery, the reason why you're here. Yes, I have. Give the strength I need to be able to succeed. And I lead to your every command.
another year. Hopefully, a year that will bring us each closer to fulfilling our confessed goal of becoming self and God realized in this lifetime. The message of the saints and sages remains unchanged since before the first time and even until this very time that we are living. They have been one in accord about the purpose of human existence and human life. They have said in their own language and within the context of their respective cultures, absolutely the same thing. They remind us that this physical existence that you are so mightily involved in is brief. It is mortal. And that there is nothing that you can say or do to make it otherwise. Your only choice is to change the way you will live. And either you can devote your life to the futile pursuit of the ego, or you can choose to live your life for the sake of God realization. But in either case, your life will be brief. You are mortal. And so is everybody else and everything else that you are experiencing. And so this is the decision, you see, beloved, that each and every one of us have to make. You have to decide. For what purpose will you lead your life? Either that lifetime will be devoted to the search and process of God realization, or it will be devoted to your futile search for lasting happiness within the realm of impermanence, where nothing lasts forever. This is what the great mystic Jesus meant when he said, choose this day whom you will serve. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dabble a little bit in the spiritual and a little bit in the world. You must truly choose. The purpose for which you will devote your life. Self and God realization, beloved, requires everything of a man and woman. You cannot tithe to God. That is a misnomer. Perhaps this has been your understanding from your encounter with conventional and ordinary religion. But this mentality of tithing is inappropriate for one whose pursuit is self and God realization. It requires everything, all of you, all thy heart, thy soul, thy mind. That's the proposition. Spiritual development, self-realization, God realization is a serious matter, and you must become serious about it. And you don't get serious about it by merely reading books or coming to a few meetings like this every now and then when you have a day off from your usual life devoted to your ego project. Requires a profound seeing of the way things really are. And until you see the way life really is, until you get the facts of life, then you will not get straight. And you will not use your life for that which is great, but instead you will simply piss away your lifetime in the futile pursuit of happiness, where happiness cannot be found. And then in the end, you simply will die like trillions and trillions of other human beings who have come before you. And you would have missed the greatest opportunity that a human lifetime offers, which is the opportunity to know thyself and to recover your divine condition. So nothing new is to be added to this ancient message that has been given to us by all the sages and saints, regardless of when or where they appeared. Further insights about it all is not required. What is required from your side is a decision. You must make a choice and then become governed by that choice at the level of vow for the rest of your life. There is no vacation from the spiritual path. I am always amazed at those who have come through the door and by grace have been fortunate enough to get initiation, and then after a few weeks, few months, rarely more than a couple of years, they decide to take a vacation, to take a break. As if the God realization process is some ordinary activity that they have involved themselves in. Fundamentally, these are the individuals who are still seeking for some kind of alternative to God realization as the basis for having a happy and utterly fulfilling life. as long as you presume that there is an alternative to real God realization as a basis for living a happy life, then you will always be dipping in and out of that which pertains to spirituality. Always feeling that there is an alternative. But beloved, there is no more of an alternative to God realization as the basis for having a happy and truly fulfilling life than there is an alternative to death. There is no alternative to death. Some of you rascals are actually thinking that you will be able to find an alternative to death. You are living like you will live forever, as if you have plenty of time to get straight. The illusion that you will have plenty of time is one of the greatest barriers in the way of every seeker, because it tends to cause procrastination in you on the presumption that you have time. That is why Buddha used to hold meetings like this in the cemetery, where instead of sitting comfortably on chairs, you sit on tombstones and grave sites so that you will clearly understand that you are among people who have run out of time, and they ran out of time at all ages and under all kinds of different circumstances. So until you can take death seriously, you cannot take the path and the ordeal associated with God realization serious. Please make a note of it. You will only be serious on the path to the extent that you have taken death seriously, and particularly your death. Until then, you will go on acting like you will live forever and that you have plenty of time, and thus simply piss away your whole lifetime. And then you will die a horrible death, full of nothing but regret and remorse. So it is a serious matter, beloved. And the path is for serious people. It's not a matter of satisfying your curiosity. It is a matter of life and death. And in every time and age, there has always only been a few people capable of such seriousness. And so the question that you must put to yourself, are you one of those few people in this age and time that we are living who are serious beyond the level of rhetoric? Serious in the form of their actions. So much more could be said about it. But I thought, this being a new year, that we should approach it with a renewal of attitude toward what we will do with the rest of our life, not just what you're going to do this year with your life. You must come to some kind of resolution about what you're going to do with your entire life. Not only must you come to some resolution about it, you must then apply that resolution. The resolution must have a force of vow. Most resolutions to change fail because they do not have the force of vow. A vow is a very different thing than a mere resolution. A vow is a matter of life and death. It has that kind of force in it. A vow is uncompromising. It is the ethos of a warrior who simply says, either I will conquer or I'll come back on my shield. There is no middle ground. It is a vow. It is your word. It is the sum total of your integrity at stake. And that same kind of warrior-like integrity and force of vow is required on the path. You must have some integrity. You must be capable of keeping your word. Your word is you. Please make a note of it. Your ability or inability to keep your word says everything about you. It cuts through all the bullshit and the rhetoric, propaganda. In ancient times, particularly in the spiritual-based communities of ancient Africa, it was understood that membership in the community was sanctioned and based entirely upon your ability to keep your word. And those who were found to be incapable of that simply was dismissed from the community because nobody could count on you. Your word has no value. It's just shit you're saying to make yourself appear greater than you really are. It's the word, and your word should be made flesh. That's what the path takes. You must become a man or woman of your word. You must have some integrity. So that when you say, I will devote my life for the sake of God realization, that I will undergo whatever ordeals, trial, tasks, and tribulations that is associated with that process, when you say that, you mean it. It's not conditional. It has nothing to do with whether your life in other areas is hunky-dory or not. It has nothing to do with your employment. It has nothing to do with your wife. It has nothing to do with your children. Nothing comes up that interferes with that commitment. Naturally, in any age, there's only a few people that have such integrity. But without it, you see, beloved, you really will not be able to make full use of the wisdom teachings that these great sages and mystics and gurus has left us. Without that, you can't make the Bible work. You can't make the Quran work. You cannot make the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or the Dhammapada or the Zenavestas and endless other sutras work for you in your life. You can read them, yes, but you will not be able to follow any of it. That's your experience, isn't it? You can read the Bible, but you can't do any of it. You can read the surahs in the Quran, but you can't do it. To be able to make use of even the scriptural form of the Dhamma requires that you have the siddhi of the vow. The power of vow must be operative in you. Otherwise, you'll just be reading stuff. You will want to be able to follow it. That's true enough. You really will. But you simply, for the life of you, won't be able to follow it. Some will always come up. Something is always going on around you in your life that is keeping you from living according to the law of the Dhamma. That is simply a sign of your lack of the requisite integrity that the path requires. So this is the beginning of a new year, and hopefully one of your resolutions will be to get serious. To take life seriously, to get the facts of life, get the lesson of life. Stop procrastinating and get down to the business of doing that which it takes in order to become self and God realized. Everything else, beloved, is peripheral, rhetoric. Something you like to discuss about it all? You're most welcome. I can go on like this for hours, so be forewarned. Acha.
The lesson of life, to speak a little bit more about how you really can't make anybody happy. You really just can't do that. That's not another individual's task. That's self-task.
Yeah, this is so important that you get the facts of life now. You see, in ancient times, these facts of life was given to us, even as children. The elders would sit you down before you entered into that stage of life that required you to function as an adult. During the school days, They will sit you down and give you the facts of life. And among these facts of life, which included the fact about death, that was the first fact of life that everybody got. As soon as the child was old enough to understand, they were given that fundamental fact that you're going to die. Everyone dies, you see. And once that has been understood, then one now lives one's life on the basis of that understanding. You control yourself on the basis of that understanding, you see. That acts as a brake, you follow me, on your egoic impulses. So that was the first lesson of life that was taught to every child. The lesson about death and its inevitability and certainty, so that you will be made straight by that. You will get your priorities in order. You follow me? It's just like those of you who are still active in the hospice work here that we do at the house, no doubt have had that opportunity to work with that terminal client who has entered very deeply into the process of dying and death, and they're very close to their last moments of life. And what you notice in that individual is a radical detachment from their roles, from their family. I mean, you're in the room, they don't even look at you. There's a kind of detachment that occurs. There's also, prior to then, even a kind of radical appreciation of life when you know that life is impermanent. You don't take it for granted, so forth and so on. So the first lesson then, Rani Kamadi, was the lesson on death. That's the first one. The Buddha said of all the footprints, the greatest is that of the elephant. And of all the spiritual teachings, the greatest is that of death. Because if you can't understand death, you can't understand anything pertaining to spiritual practice or pertaining to the guru-disciple relationship or anything. The next lesson was the lessons on love and happiness and so forth. You see? The lesson on happiness was that happiness cannot, by definition, be found in the realm of that which is impermanent. Because the first lesson has already paved the way for that insight, hasn't it? If everything and everyone and every event, circumstance, situation is temporary and permanent, then it follows that you can never derive any kind of lasting happiness from anything. Seeing this, the whole pursuit is dropping. And that energy and attention that would otherwise have been squandered in that pursuit is available to fuel further growth. You follow me? It is when you don't get that lesson of life, you will devote all of your time, energy, and attention in the pursuit of happiness within the realm of your world and your relationships in the world. That's what consumes all your time, energy, and attention. You see? You are always, at the level of your mind, trying to figure out more and more ways that you can go about finding this lasting happiness that you've been seeking, but you're seeking it in the world. In fact, you're trying to somehow make your life a utopia in the midst of all of this chaos. It's amazing how foolishly you will live when you don't have the lessons of life and do not understand the facts of life. Not only are you not going to be able to find any lasting happiness within the context of the world or any of your relationships in the world, by definition, because your world, your samsara, is made up of impermanent phenomena. temporary phenomena. And temporary phenomena can never yield lasting anything, by definition. But just as you will fail to be able to achieve it in the world, in the same way, you are part of somebody else's world, aren't you? And those who are intimately connected with you, no doubt are connected with you because you, at least in their eyes, offered them some possibility of finding lasting happiness. But you are as mortal as anything else, aren't you? And when I say mortal, I mean more than just physically mortal. I mean even every few seconds your mood may shift. You see? And so you will simply never become the source of happiness for others. How can you? Not only because the physics of it all will not permit you, but the very fact that you don't have no happiness. How will you, without any internal happiness, be the source of happiness for everybody else? That's not going to happen. Has not happened. Will not happen. But you see, because we do not understand things, we accept that responsibility. We have our children, we have our wives, and other intimate people in our life, and when we see them suffering, naturally that impacts us, doesn't it? You see? And because we want to do something to bring them out of their misery, we can get locked into that kind of a process. But you can no more bring an ego-bound individual out of a condition of unhappiness than you can bring a dying person back from death. How will you do that? Unhappiness is the condition of the ego-bound individual. They are always already unhappy prior to any event, circumstance, or situation. Unhappiness is their native condition, and so is yours. And two individuals who are natively unhappy cannot produce happiness. I don't care what Oprah Winfrey says. She's wrong. Won't happen. So you got to get that lesson. When you get that lesson, for the first time you relax. Prior to that, see, you are always full of tension, always full of stress. You see, physically, emotionally, mentally, you are always, you know, the adrenaline is running all the time because you're always trying to figure out, you're trying to come up with something. You are mentally and emotionally, psychologically always preoccupied with some level of the strategy by which you can become happy or become the source of happiness for others. And that's a lot of pressure. Naturally, when you're attempting the impossible, you're bound to have a lot of pressure, tension, stress, strain, fear, so forth and so on. But when you recognize the futility of all of that, then for the first time you let go. You see? Now you're into a let go posture or mode. You're flowing. Life's still happening, yes, but you're flowing now. No tension. Because there's no ulterior motive about it. Yes, there's relationships, but you are standing freely in those relationships now because you're not trying to make the other person the means of your happiness. You have already realized the fallacy of that. You can be free in that relationship now. Free. So there's a lot of things that goes with that insight. This getting the fact about happiness leads obviously to getting the facts about love. Because we make the same mistake, don't we, when it comes to love. We are always, at all times, scouting our relationships, scanning them, going over with fine tooth comb, trying to find out if they love us. You're always seeking to be loved by others. Always. Always. And almost never seeking to be loved for others. happiness. You are never the agency of love in its source in the life of anybody. You are always on the other end, seeking, desperately. But it's the same fallacy. You see, Jesus, the great master, sums it up beautifully. There's a few lines from the Bible. If we can understand these few lines from the Bible, then we can throw the rest of it away. You see? The teachings that Jesus left are very simple, and they are as true today as they were then. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And then, come on, Christian, let the church say, y'all, no wonder y'all got kicked out of church. But something like that, yes. That's the law of love. That's the law of happiness. Rolled into that. Seek ye first God. Why? Because that which we call God is the source of love, the very source of happiness, isn't it? That's why we call it God. God is not some kind of theistic being up in the sky somewhere with a long beard. We have anthropomorphized God, made God in our image, but that's not God. God is that which is the source of everything, including love and happiness. Therefore, if you want love and happiness, first find God, i.e. become God realized, discover God. Have the experience of God, and you will have the experience of all of the love and happiness that you are otherwise seeking in your relationships with others in the world and in the things and places of the world. You follow me? But you see, we live ass backward, don't we? First, you are seeking happiness and love in your wife and your children and your friends and your neighbors, blah, 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 blah. And then once you get that stable, then you're going to seek the kingdom of God. You're living the law in reverse. And you must reverse it. You must first seek the kingdom of God. Locate happiness where happiness exists. You must find the location of happiness, which is in God. You must find the location of love, which is in God. And you must recover and become established in God, i.e. God realized. And then your whole relationship with the world and the people in the world shifts. You are already happy when you asked her to marry you. You're already happy, you see, when you had the child. You are already full of love prior to the relationship. The relationship simply now becomes a context in which you get to express your love, not seek it. You all are not in a relationship to express your love. You desperately seeking it, intimidating the other ones. In fact, grabbing in the car. You better love me. Damn it, I'll leave you. Right? And if it looks like they're not going to love you, you're gone. Just like that. Just the signs of being unloved is terrifying. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else, all things will be added unto you, including love, happiness. The same is the case with knowledge. You want some knowledge? You can save yourself a lot of trouble and a lot of dissertations and thousands of dollars. Simply become God realized. That is the source of all knowledge, the source of all wisdom. You become wise. The university gives you information. It's academic, it's information. It's not wisdom. You see? To become established in God give you wisdom. You don't have to use your mind to know anything. You don't make knowledge with your mind anymore. Syllogistic thinking is no longer required. No more deductive and inductive logic. No more resort to data and then performing a execution on that data to come to a conclusion that is bound to be wrong because your database was not infinite. That's why Socrates said that there's a realm of wisdom that is denied the logician. Can't get there through logic and reason. So all of these things you see are recovered when we are able to enter into the kingdom of God. That's what real spirituality is about, isn't it? And only about that and nothing else. So in ancient times, you see, people were prepared. They were given certain facts about it all. So that would make them more cooperative with the great process. That would break down their reluctance, you see. Just like we grew up believing in Santa. You follow? They grew up believing and understanding the mortality of life and the futility of the search for happiness and love within the realm of conditional experience and the relationships thereof. So it's a cultural deficit that we suffer from this. Acharnavaji, something to say about it?
Right. Really about to answer my question, but I'm just thinking in terms of my relationships with my family and dealing with trying to guide your children and you see that their development is being arrested in terms of their spiritual growth, and I'm just saying what can be done to nurture them, towards proper spiritual development.
You teach them the facts of life. You see? As parents, we are their first gurus. Aren't we? The mother and the father are the first gurus. One of the things that characterizes every parent that is truly a parent is they don't want to tell their children lies. Why would you want to? Tell your children lies. You try to tell them the truth. I don't mean to say that you don't give them myths like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the fairy tooth and all that. I'm not talking about that. But when it comes down to serious matters about life, don't give them no myths. Give them the truth. That's why the facts about death are given early. You see, so that they do not grow up and become conditioned into thinking otherwise. You see, to become deceived otherwise. You see, it's a very beautiful thing about really understanding death. Evargos de Solitaire, one of the early Christian fathers, recommended that to those who came to study with him in the desert. You see, he said, first contemplate your death. I mean, actually contemplate and visualize your death, because that gives you a very different consciousness. You come into a very different relationship. Now, of course, we can't sit down and have our children do all of that, but certainly you must give them the facts about life. You see, at some point we have to give them the facts about sex, blah, 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 all of that. And we usually, as parents, try to do that. We tell our son, get a condom, tell our girls, you better not, I'll kill you if I ever, you see, we give them the facts, right? but you don't give them the facts of all facts. That everybody and every one of us in 120 years from now that is on the planet will not be here. 120 years, every human being on the planet breathing now is gone. It's reality. And for many of us who are sitting here today on the planet, that life will be brief. There's some child somewhere who's born and will be dead in about another, before this satsang. So not only is life mortal, it is oftentimes brief. And there is nothing you can say or do to make it not brief and mortal. This is what all gurus, all sages, all saints have taught us. Nothing that you can say or do that will make life other than brief and mortal. It's a fact. So you give your children the facts of life. You give them the facts about death, the facts about happiness, you see, the facts about love. Because this is the stuff that makes up the human condition and dilemma, isn't it? So that's what we teach. Yes, beloved.
How do you reach God realization? Is there like a map to follow, or is it instantaneous for some people?
You're asking a serious question over there.
You tell me how to go.
That is the kind of question that arises when a person has really begun to take the arguments of that has come down in the form of scriptures and so forth seriously. How do I become God realized? Well, there's a very long answer that I obviously don't have time to go into, but what the saints and sages have said since time immemorial is that if you want to become God realized, you must go to a God realized individual. About that, they have been emphatic. You see, you must find the God realizer in your time. It's not enough to go to a past individual who was God realized, because that's a dead guru. You follow me? Can't help you. You follow me? You must find the living master of your time and in your place, you see. You must find a guru. You must enter into that search. That search can take you weeks, months, years, maybe even most of your lifetime. But certainly, the God realization experience does not become possible until we find someone who had the experience themselves and therefore is in a position to guide us in order for us to duplicate the experience in themselves. You see? It's not that the guru gives you the God realization experience. He doesn't give you God because that's already the case. You follow me? You are already just as you are. Nothing but God. How could you be anything else? What is missing is your personal realization and recognition of your true nature. And the function of the guru is to help you come into realization and recognition of your own inherent and divine nature. You see? If you could overcome your ignorance of your divine nature, then you would not ask the question. You would not even embark upon the search, the journey, you see. But when we have become serious about God realization, when we have looked around at life and all of the possibilities that it offers us, and have come to the conclusion now, no fooling, no kidding now, not just rhetorical, not none of this show business stuff. You see, it's become very fashionable to be spiritual now. You follow me? People talking all the time, I'm spiritual. That's bullshit. These people are not spiritual. They may be, you know, religious. I grant them that, because religion is typified by just lip service, just talk. It's just talk. You understand? But they're not spiritual. They have not even been born again in the real sense of the word, you see? Into the spiritual condition. So how can they be spiritual? So once we really decide, beloved, that we really are serious about this thing called God realization, we understand now, I need to find somebody that is a cheat. Usually by that time we've already went through the books. We already went through the scriptures. We went through conventional religion. We went to the university. We done did that number, and we are honest enough about it. We have that kind of integrity where we will not walk around claiming to be enlightened when we are not having any experience of it at all. You see, there's an integrity to our searches. And you realize then that I got to find somebody. That is what has produced all of the great paths in the world. Every major religion had its origin with some guru, some God realized. Every one, to whom people came in order to duplicate the experience in themselves. So, in ancient times, these religious organizations were always connected to some living adept. But when the adept is no longer there, then usually the institution collapses, you see, into just dogma, doctrine, and no transformation is occurring. So the answer to your question, beloved, is you must find a guru. And then finding that guru, then you must submit to the process. Now when you are searching for a guru, there's an old saying in Zen, when searching for the guru, keep your eyes wide open. Check him or her out. You understand? Because this is not a small matter here now. This is the care of your soul. So your eyes should be wide open. You see, you're not buying it just because the guru's saying it. You know, none of that crap. No blind faith. This is far too important for that. So when searching for a guru, keep your eyes wide open. And then once you find a guru, then shut your eyes and go to work. You follow me? Once you have found that individual whom you feel to have greater wisdom than you. See, there are different levels of gurus here. You follow me? In the philosophy of sadhana, I think last time were you here? We chatted a little bit, and I mentioned to you, you might want to get that book. I've talked about the hierarchies of gurus here, you see? But certainly, you want to take on someone as guru who clearly have more wisdom than you. Otherwise, why would you go to him as guru? You're looking for somebody that has more wisdom than you, right? And not just academic information. Someone who has more being than you have. And once you have found such an individual, once you have gone through that whole process of selection, then once you enter into relationship, then the appropriate posture now is obedience and implications of the instructions. You see? You must submit to the guru. Surrender to the guru. And follow the guru's instructions explicitly. And thus, and thereby duplicating yourself the guru's condition. One of the advantages you see of finding a living guru, until you find a living guru, until you find such a person, you really cannot be convinced that such a state called God realization even exists. You must first see it in somebody. When Sariputta saw Buddha, Buddha had not even spoken. Buddha was yet far off. And just seeing the Buddha, the way he moved and all of that, you see, Sariputta was instantly captured, because that's what God realization looks like. You follow me? You must see it in a human being. That is what convicts you that it's possible for me. I beloved, when those disciples, early disciples of Jesus, you see, when they encountered Jesus, Jesus didn't make any claims, I am the Messiah, I am the Guru. Jesus didn't do that. All of those claims were made by those men and women who encountered Jesus. They encountered a individual who had attained the God condition, who had become God realized. And they had the experience of God through Jesus, principally through his siddha of love. So when the apostles talk about Christ, they say God is in Christ. That's what they said. Now later on in history, throughout all of the councils and Nicaea and so forth and so on, they corrupted. But those who were closest to Jesus historically in time, i.e. those actual disciples, they did not make this claim that Jesus is God. They said God is in Christ. Different statement, isn't it? And why did they make such a statement? Because what they experienced in his company, the love that they experienced, was so profound that only a God can love like this. Can't no ordinary human being love like this. You see? Cannot love like this. So when we encounter the Guru, you see, beloved, the Guru becomes the verification that God realization is possible. Until then, you can't really be convinced about it. Yes, you can read about it in the books, you see, but Jesus 2,500 years, 2,000 years ago, or the Buddha, or Mahavira, or this or that, and that sounds like myth almost. It's hard to believe that such men like that even walked upon the planet. You see, you got to have it right now, right here in front of you. And then finally, you see, beloved, ultimately, it becomes a matter of osmosis. Osmosis occurs. You become that whose company you keep. You become that upon which you give your attention. That's the great law of transformation. Now, I have not even begun to touch the surface of all of the dynamics underlying the process. But the God realization process, beloved, begins first with finding a God realized individual, or at least one you feel in your heart of heart to be God realized, and then entering into a relationship of obedience, following of that particular individual's instruction. It begins there. All right. Anything else to say? Yes, Philip?
Well, I'm glad you said that what it takes you to talk about and realize. I decided folks along the way to know that you're on the way.
Well, there's many of those. There are stages. So we can talk about the developmental stages of God realization. You see, there's the ultimate condition where one has really become God realized, i.e. one has recovered one's self-recognition as God. You see, the personality that was seeking in the beginning ceased to exist. There is no more. You follow me? It's what I used to describe as the phenomenon of the drop merging in the ocean. Before the merger, there's a drop, there's ocean. But once that drop hits the ocean, it becomes the ocean. You follow me? That's the most ultimate stage of the God realization process. In the beginning stages, you see, it is represented by the individual becoming first a first-class human being. You're not going to become God realized until you become a first-class human being. You've got to get straight. You follow me? You've got to get straight. That straightness looks like all kinds of things, but one of the things that it definitely will reflect that this is an individual who has achieved some degree of ahimsa, some degree of compassion. You follow me? For others. This is a person that is not a burden on other people. This is a person that has a kind of generosity and spirit and so forth and so on. You see? The quote-unquote good human being. It is a person who has integrity. It is a person whose word has force. You follow me? That's the first sign. You see? Because that's power. You see? If you don't have enough power to keep your word, you know you're a long way from tapping in. How can you be close? You see? So there's individual stages that each person passes through. There's a stage where you begin to even pass beyond this world into the internal worlds, where you start having certain internal experiences. light, sounds, and so forth and so on. All of those also are signs that you have moved into a deeper phase of the God realization process. I have tried to outline those, beloved, in the philosophy of sadhana, so you might want to consider taking a look in that book, and that way you'll get a much more complete answer. But certainly, seriousness has got to be one of the signs of a person that has taken at least some first steps on the path. These are people who tend to be serious. When I say serious, I don't mean dull, dry, humorless. That's not what I'm talking about. But these are serious people. They're not playing. You follow me? These are people who are capable of sacrifice. Very different. Very different. They're not just talking about it. Fantasizing about it. Some people you see, beloved, fantasize about becoming God realized. That's just fantasy. You see. You will see these people doing what it takes. They're doing what it takes. And it depends on which guru they go to, you see. You would definitely see that those who have come to a guru of any level in the hierarchy of gurus, that's a demonstration of that person is getting serious. That person is entering. They have entered into the way, as we call it. You see, they're entering into the way. The person who has began to move toward the God realization condition is a person that has really become unconsolable in this world. They have been positively disillusioned. Are you following me? Until this positive disillusionment occurs in your case, you're not serious. By positive disillusionment, I mean that you have really become disillusioned about your prior belief in the world being capable of providing you with lasting happiness. You're disillusioned by that now. You don't buy that no more. Your experience does not bear that out anymore. You're disillusioned about it. But it's a positive disillusion versus a negative disillusion, which usually sends you to the nut house. You follow me? You try to commit suicide. But positive disillusionment means that you have seen the futility of the search for happiness within the realm of your conditional experience and relationship. You have also seen the futility of your being the source of love for others. That's a hard, because most of us really still believe deep down inside, in spite of my arguments or anybody else, that you really are some kind of great catch for somebody. Man, you other people headaches. You're the source of their headaches, not their headaches. Just the other way around, you see. In any event, this positive disillusionment must occur. That usually is what marks the real beginning of a real secret. You see, they're not playing anymore. You see, there have been great seekers, and the literature is full of tales of these great seekers, isn't it? I mean, these are people that, left hearth and home in search of, left job, they dropped life, literally. These were called the Aryan bhikkhus in the time of the Buddha, the noble souls. They heard the Dhamma, you know what I mean? And these people left homes, left wives, left their farms, animals, children, gone. You see? That's a very different kind of person. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody will have to do that, but certainly you're giving up something. You're willingly giving up something. Because you're serious. You're serious. You're serious about it. There are other signs, you see. But as I said before, beloved, I've tried to go over those in the philosophy of sadhana, even to some extent in the anatomy of ego, these stages, developmental stages. Something else to say? Yes, beloved. I'm sorry, beloved.
I noticed when you talked to the gentleman over there,
Yes.
I noticed you said you had to give up something. And I was just wondering, in giving up, do you have to give up all physical and worldly sense things in order to become God realized? Or are there some physical and worldly things that you need to become God realized with?
Excellent question. Excellent question. But this is the seeker's role. But you see, renunciation is necessary. True. But renunciation is not the same as asceticism, where you are abandoning clothes and living in caves and so forth and so on. That's asceticism. And that has its place, but what is required in everyone's case is the spirit of renunciation. Renunciation is a kind of detachment. You follow me? It is to be in a kind of let go, non-clinging relationship with things. There are things in your life, but you're not clinging. You follow me? You're not clinging to them as a basis for becoming happy. You have renounced all that. You see? You have stopped running in the world. You're in it, but you're not of it no more. You see? It's a very different kind of relationship that you begin to develop it with the world. You're still in it though. There's the wife. There's been many great mystics and saints who are married with children, work jobs, you know, and everything. You see? King Janaka, there's a story that Bilal tells in the newsletter. This issue, make sure you get it. He tells the story of Asavaka and King Janaka. And Janaka was a king, sitting on a throne, but he was a real seeker. You follow me? A real seeker. And not to destroy the story for you, but he encounters Astavaka, and Astavaka tells him what he has to do in order to have what Astavaka possessed, i.e. self-God realization. And one of the things that the king had to do was to give up the sense of being the doer and the owner of anything. That is the thing to be renounced. You follow me? That's real renunciation. This feeling that I am the doer, this feeling that I am the owner. Because the reality is you're not the doer or the owner of anything. You see? That is what is to be renounced. That is what is to be given up. Well, this doer and this thing in you that feels it's the owner of things is the ego. That's what we call the ego. So ultimately, beloved, what has to be renounced is your ego. And if you would perhaps get a copy, do we have any, who am I back there? I don't even know if I'm pitching books. I don't even know if we have things. But in the book, Who Am I? It talks a little bit about that, and I defer you to it for a more comprehensive reply. But yes, there are some sacrifices. The principal one, as I said before, is this ego. Sacrifice it, you got the rest of it. You see? As opposed to trying to leave your family, leave your wife, leave your children, run to a cave. That doesn't mean that you're detached at all. In fact, it's usually a sign of the absence of detachment. Maharaji used to always say that the place to conquer your fear of tigers in the jungle. You follow me? That's where real fearlessness of tigers is demonstrated. You follow me? So, very often, individuals who have simply failed in the world withdraw from the world, and they try to disguise that as some kind of spiritual instinct. That's usually bullshit. You follow me? They have simply failed in the world. They have not been able to make their worldly life work, and therefore they flee. Thinking that, you know, I'll make it on the spiritual path. Oh no. If you can't make it in the world, you definitely are not going to make it on the path. The path will take way more discipline of you than raising children and going to work and being a contributor to your community, so forth and so on. You see? So very often you see the individual who withdraws from life under the pretense that they're being spiritual or as a part of their spiritual nature are fundamentally self-deluded. These are people whose development has been arrested. You see, They have not even learned how to get along with anybody. I try to emphasize that point. There's a teaching story that comes down to us in Sufism, you see, where a disciple goes to the murshid, you see, the peer, the sheikh, for initiation. And this is a kind of seeker who, like us, have read all the books, you know, been on the circuit, got all the lingo, got all the terminology, has devoted, in fact, most of their life to the intellectual pursuit of God. And thinking that they are qualified now, you see, to be initiated. So he comes to the sheikh, right, seeking initiation. And so the sheikh asked him, you got any friends? And the man, you know, he looks at, he's a little startled. He said, no, you see, I don't have any friends. I am a true seeker. I have dedicated my life to seeking knowledge, you see. I've studied, you know, Al-Ghazali, I've studied Wundin Christi, I've faced, you know, Sajub. I mean, I've read, you know. I'm a real seeker. I didn't have no time to waste any time. You know, so he went on to promote his credentials to the sheikh as the basis for the sheikh yielding and initiating him. And so the sheikh listened to all of this, and then he said, have you ever, you got any wife, any children, anything? He said, man, are you listening to me? I mean, he began to get perturbed now, thinking maybe I made a mistake coming to this man. You see? He says, honorable sir, you're not, let me make my case very clear to you. I am a real and serious seeker. That's what I've devoted my life to. I had no time for no wife, no children, and working and all that kind of stuff. That stuff distracts people from the path. I've devoted all of my time, all of my energy to that. You know what I mean? To acquiring the knowledge, the insights necessary to prepare myself for this moment. You see? And the chief said, oh, that's good, that's good. And after just a few minutes, he asked, what, do you have a dog? Yep. What does that have to do with it? He said, because I'm trying to find out, did you ever love anybody? Because if you have not loved another human being, I can't work with you. And to learn how to love other human beings, you got to get right out here in the midst of it. Right out here in the midst of it. So don't be deceived then by people who live in isolation as being somehow spiritual. It's usually simply a sign of a psychological arrest in their development as human beings. They cannot feel beyond the limits of their own ego self. Follow me? They are so self-contracted that they can't even feel other people. They have a shrinking humanity. Their humanity is shrunk. They don't have an expanded humanity large enough to incorporate others. They can't feel, therefore they can't love, therefore they are alone. So, a lot more can be said about it, beloved. I hope that helps you a little bit, and I defer you to some of the literature. Well, in the interest of staying on time, beloved, I think we should move on, and we'll have Rashad. And just for you all who are here for the first time, Rashad is my favorite part of this gathering. It is what I enjoy most when we come together, because it's a symbol of us exchanging attention to each other. The brother asked, what is it that one must do? I've mentioned finding the Guru, but the Guru-disciple relationship is fundamentally rooted in the giving of attention to each other. That's what makes it so unique. And so when we have this ceremony of Rashad, that's what it's really a symbol of. You see? It's not just a bag full of nuts and peanuts. It is a symbol of us in this brief moment as you pass by, giving each other our regards. And for me, that is the most sacred moment. So I ask those of you who are not familiar with it, those of you who have been going through it, to please be as quiet as possible. I know you black people, you like to start slapping each other on the back and hugging and all that other stuff, but if you will postpone that kind of thing and not destroy the sacredness of it, for my sake, don't disturb me as I have an opportunity to exchange my regards with each and every one of you. That's what it's about. That's why I got up and drove here this morning, just for this moment. It is not only an opportunity for me to regard you, but all of this is also contains the regards of your ancestors. When the prasad is blessed, sometimes you'll notice my dwelling on this basket here. But in those moments, you see, beloved, I am simply invoking my Guru for his blessings. It's like a libation, summoning him here, and to bless this so that we may ingest it and thus duplicate in ourselves some of his condition. During that moment of silence, I am invoking all of the great Gurus that has ever walked this planet or any other planet for their blessings. So that we may, by the act of prasad and eating of this, ingest and duplicate their conditions as well. And there is then the invoking of the blessings of all of the living gurus on the planet today, because gurus are still coming to the planet. It's a part of God's design. It did not stop with Moses or Imhotep or Jesus or anybody else. As long as they're human beings, there'll be gurus and sages. And there's some on the planet today. So in my silence, I invoke their blessings. And of course, no blessing is complete without invoking the blessings of our ancestors. Those men and women who gave their life and their blood, gave their whole physical being for our sake. You all know that none of us would be sitting in this room today if there had not been someone in our life who had loved us. Life does not grow outside of the presence of love. Life cannot flourish where there is no love. So each and every one of us in here is a testament to the reality that at some point somebody loved us. There was a time you was a little helpless child, beloved. You couldn't do anything for yourself. And you only made it through that because somebody loved you through that. There was love present in your life. That's why you're here. And it's the same with each and every one of us. And that presence of life reaches back to the beginning of time, up through our ancestors. I silently invoke them to bless us, so that when we ingest the prasad, we are ingesting their blessings as well. So it's not a giddy occasion. It's not a break for you to get into your party mood. It's an occasion to feel grateful for all of the love that has been showered in order for us to be today. So if you would indulge me and allow me an atmosphere that is appropriately sacred for the occasion, I will humbly appreciate it. Afterwards, if you have time, I will certainly be honored to meet with my guests somewhere outside, get to know you. Thank you for coming.
Well, you're my sales, so I got to work on it. Yeah, that's you, right?